Welcome to Harvey County Digital Talk, a program brought to you by Harvey County Digital. Harvey County Digital Talk, where everything we talk about is the only thing you want to know about local matters that matter. I am your host, Lance Gormley. Our sponsor for this episode is Hall's Tree Service. Locally owned and operated, Hall's Tree Service has been exceeding and surpassing customer demands in Newton and the surrounding area for over 2 decades. Larry and his crew are guaranteed to work hard for you. There's no tree too tall, no job too small. Call Halls at 316-772-1919. Remember, there's no tree too tall, no job too small. Call Halls at 316-772-1919. That's Larry Hall with Hall's Tree Service. Our guest today is Stephen Owens. Stephen is the 74th House District Representative in Topeka. For those listening that don't know, a large portion of Harvey County is in the 74th District. So Stephen may very well be your state representative. Even if he's not, if you live in Harvey County, you probably know who this guy is. So without further ado, let's welcome to the program Representative Stephen Owens. Stephen, thank you for coming on.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Lance. My pleasure to be here and talk about these really important constitutional amendments that are on the ballot here next week.
Absolutely. And I appreciate it. I know I don't know where you're at or what you're doing, but I know you're not here, and I know you're meeting me by phone, and I just want to say I appreciate you reserving the time to be here.
Hey, absolutely happy to do that. This is, elections are so incredibly important, and the more we can do to help people be educated and make informed decisions, the better our government works. So I'm happy to do it.
Awesome. I think that's why you and I get along so good.
That's great.
Okay, so since voting has begun, I know that lots of times the focus really hones in on who the governor's going to be, or if there's a contentious race locally, maybe who might be your representative or respective senator. But a lot of times there's not a lot of attention that comes to constitutional amendments unless, like the one we just had. But all that being said, there are 2 constitutional amendments that people are going to have the opportunity to go out and vote on this November. And I've been getting a lot of calls from people asking me questions about these 2 constitutional amendments. And it dawned on me, well, maybe we should be doing something where we're reaching out and talking to a professional on the matter, and that would be you, just to kind of give a little bit to people in Harvey County about what these amendments are about, what's the differences in them, and then could you just kind of educate the audience on, well, what are these 2 constitutional amendments even about?
Yeah, I'd be happy to, Lance. And again, thanks for the opportunity. Both of these constitutional amendments, I personally voted to put on the ballot. As you may or may not know, or the listening audience may or may not know, to put a constitutional amendment on the ballot, it requires a 2/3 majority in the House and a 2/3 majority in the Senate to get on that ballot. So that's 84 in the House and 27 in the Senate to be put to a vote of the people. And how great is that the people have a say-so in how they want their government to be ran. So first one is HCR 5014, and HCR stands for House Concurrent Resolution 5014. And basically, this is an amendment to allow legislative oversight of state agency rules and regulation processes that have been used to make laws without going through the legislature. We all know that it's the legislature's responsibility, the legislative branch and executive branch, to make laws. It is not state agencies' right to make a law or to make a rule that has the force and effect of law.
Okay.
What we've seen, especially during the pandemic, right, is we saw state agencies making unilateral laws in the name of public safety, in the name of this, that, or the other. And quite literally, the legislature was powerless to do anything about it.
Okay.
And it was very, very challenging for many of us legislators to come to the realization that we have no real mechanism other than passing a law to override a rule and regulation of state agency. And so what this does is this says, look, in the event that this happens, that there is a law or a rule that is made that has the force and effect of law that we believe should be vetted through the legislature, that with a majority vote in the House and in the Senate, that rule is revoked.
Okay. So that's I did. You kind of explained it in a little more detail. I did generally know some of that. I kind of had just drawn a conclusion that this amendment is not really partisan necessarily. That if there was a Republican governor, let's say, in office, and then these organizations are doing things that are not legal, or maybe don't have the authority to do that, that this protects the people from any party or rule just taking over and doing what they want to do. Basically?
Right, that's exactly right.
Okay.
Yep, and this allows, just again, it's checks and balances. And I'm a firm believer that in government, the more checks and balances we have, generally the better government. Because if we have too much concentrated power in one area, that's where the people get the raw end of the deal. Yes. So anytime we can have additional checks and balances to ensure that these regulations, these rules that are created that have the force and effect of law, have a mechanism to where we can overturn those in rather simple form. Because again, it's all about protecting the people.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, I'll tell you a little secret. I went and voted already. And I'm actually really excited for being able to vote for this amendment, because I personally view it like you, where if there is ever an opportunity to give the people more control or say or ability to have an impact or be participatory in their process, in their local government, their state government, that's you can't beat that. I mean, who would want for that to be the case?
This truly isn't a partisan issue. I mean, governors will come and go, right? That's just part of it. But bureaucracy is what lasts forever. That 30-year-old deputy secretary, 30-year tenured deputy secretary that's been there forever. The 40-year tenured bureaucrat that works within a state agency that is literally making laws that we have no ability, truly easy ability, I should say, to overrule. Literally, bureaucracy is forever. So regardless of who the governor is, without this measure, we would continue to see rules and regulations with less accountability and oversight.
Very good. Very good. What if we're talking about that one just in general? It seems that, like, for me, I see a lot of the pros, and I know there's always some con. So what's one thing that you could see as possibly problematic in the future with this?
So the opposition feels that governor, because the governor is elected, and the governor is ultimately the CEO of every state agency, that by passing this amendment, we're relegating some of their authority, that we're diminishing the authority that they have.
Okay.
And so that's kind of the argument against it, is that we're taking some of the governor's authority. And I say, well, to some extent you're right, but while the governor is technically the CEO of every state agency, they're not involved in the inner workings of every state agency.
Yes.
They're not consulted on every rule and regulation. They're not consulted on every decision that is made. And so the legislature is the one that is most readily available and keenly aware of when these are made, because we hear directly from our constituents.
Yeah.
As a representative, there are 125 of us in the state. We hear from the people in our communities on a regular basis, good, bad, and indifferent. And I don't know when the last time you tried to get a hold of the governor and share your concern about a regulation with her.
Yeah, no, that doesn't happen.
But even if even if you tried, you'd find that it's impossible.
Well, you'd find yourself
you'd
find yourself being directed to the department head of the department you're complaining about. I mean,
well, except for you'd never get to the department head. You'd get to some public affairs person within that.
Yeah.
And so again, we are closest to the people.
Yeah.
And I think that should be part of our responsibility is to listen and then address these issues as they come up.
Awesome. Okay, so that was one of them. That was one of the constitutional amendments that we were going to have. But tell me about the other one. I think this is the one that most people actually do have questions about, because the first one that we just explained, and I want to go back to that. You know, there's for any Democrat or